Welcome to the MindMajix YouTube channel. Here, you will find insightful video tutorials to kickstart your career. Having said that, we bring you the Java interview questions and answers to help you crack that next interview and land in your dream company. Beyond the basics, we want to set you up for interview success. So, we take our list of questions seriously. We analyzed real job descriptions from top sites like Indeed, Naukri, LinkedIn, and Glassdoor. But that's not all. We went a step further, surveyed and talked directly with experienced developers, top recruiters, and hiring managers. This insider knowledge means our questions and answers are laser focused on what you'll actually face in your interview. With thorough preparation and these top 50 interview questions backing you up, you're standing well beyond halfway through your quest to ace that interview. So grab your notepad and get ready to transform yourself into a Java interview rockstar. That said, if these are the type of videos you'd like to watch, then hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified whenever we host. Now, without further delay, let's get started with the top 50 Java interview questions and answers. Now, without further delay, let's get started. So, let's begin with the first question. Can you explain your experience with agile development methodologies? So, a sample answer for this question is you can just say something like, yes, I've been working with agile development methodologies since the past few years, and I'm well versed with Scrum, Kanban, and Lean principles. I've experience in leading agile ceremonies such as daily stand-ups, sprint planning, sprint review, and retrospective meetings. I understand the importance of interactive and iterative development, continuous integration, and delivering value to customers in each sprint. Now, let's proceed with the second question. How would you describe your proficiency with big data related technologies? Now, the answer for this question is, you can say I have solid experience working with big data technologies such as Apache Spark, Scala, Hadoop, Kafka. I have developed scalable data processing pipelines performing data analysis and optimized queries for performance. I'm comfortable with working structured and unstructured data formats like JSON and protobuf. The developer or the interviewer just wants to understand if you have any backend and front-end related experiences altogether as a full-stack developer, as a Java full-stack developer or not. And he also wants to understand that if you have worked with any of the big data platforms such as AWS, Azure, Hadoop, etc. Now, let's proceed with the third question in the list. So the third question is, can you discuss your familiarity with programming languages like Java and Python? So this is an intermediate level or mostly for a fresher level programming level question. So they want to understand how good you have your experience based on Java and Python as a fresher or intermediate candidate. So you can give answer something like this. I have extensive hands-on experience with Java and Python. I have developed enterprise-grade applications, RESTful APIs, and data processing scripts using these languages. I'm proficient in writing clean, efficient code, adhering to coding standards and the best practices. So you can also include some of the platforms like GitHub, etc., where you have pulled a push to your code, and you can also include some GitHub IDs of yours with a portfolio to give that impression that you do have a good extensive knowledge on Java or Python. Now, proceeding ahead, we have the fourth question. How do you approach troubleshooting and debugging complex issues? So this is around the testing and other troubleshooting type of questions. So you should have good experience on that front. And you can also give an answer which is similar to this one. When facing complex issues, I first try to reproduce the problem on a controlled environment. I analyze logs, stack traces, and relevant data to identify the root cause. I leverage debugging tools and techniques to isolate the issue and implement effective solutions. I also believe in collaborating with team members to brainstorm ideas to resolve issues collaboratively. Now, proceeding ahead, we have the fifth question. So the fifth question is, describe a project where you demonstrated strong communication and collaboration. So now the interviewer wants you to be that one person who's really good with communication and the one who is the best when performing as a team, right? So they want to understand if you possess those teamwork skills or not? So you can give a sample answer which shows something like this. So these questions are the ones based on the job portals, right? So whenever you are on a job portal, you can see some requirements or job responsibilities and skills required, right? So based on that, remember the interviewers also frame questions. So this is one of those. So you can give a sample answer like, in a previous project, I led a cross-functional team to develop real-time analytics platform. I facilitated regular communication channels between developers, QA engineers, product managers, and stakeholders. By actively listening to feedback, resolving conflicts, and fostering a collaborative environment, we successfully delivered the project on time and exceeded client expectations. Remember to also mention that point, exceeding client expectations. So this adds weight to your profile. Now, the sixth question in the list. How do you stay updated on new technologies and trends in software development? The answer for this question is as follows. You can say something like this. I'm passionate about continuous learning and professional development. I regularly read industry blogs, attend tech conferences and webinars, participate in online forums and communities. I enjoy experimenting with new technologies through professional, personal projects and collaborating with peers to share knowledge and best practices. Now moving ahead, we have the seventh question. Discuss your experience with code reviews and providing constructive feedbacks. So this is a question for experienced candidates. If the designated role is as a team leader or a project manager, then you might get this question. Now you can answer to this question in a subtle way using this sample answer. I consider code reviews to be a crucial part of the development process. I actively participate in code reviews, offering constructive feedback to my peers to improve code quality and maintainability. I focus on providing specific comments, suggesting alternate procedures or approaches, and promoting code standards for best practices. Now, the eighth question. Why are attention to detail and problem-solving skills important as a developer? Now, this is for an intermediate candidate. Now, for this question, you can answer something like this. Attention to detail ensures that code is written accurately, efficiently, without errors. It helps in identifying potential issues early in the development cycle, reducing the likelihood of bugs and technical debt. Problem-solving skills are essential for tackling complex challenges, debugging issues, and finding innovative solutions to meet project objectives. Now, proceeding ahead, we have the ninth question. How do you handle ownership of projects from inception to completion? Now, this is for the leadership questions. So, if you're a team leader, if you're a candidate being interviewed for a team leader post, then these are the type of questions you might face. So, the answer for this question is, taking ownership of projects is something I take pride in. I ensure clear understanding of requirements, set realistic timelines, and proactively communicate progress updates to stakeholders. I'm adaptable to changes, prioritizing tasks efficiently, and strive for excellence in every phase of the project lifecycle. Now, the 10th question in this particular assessment is, discuss a challenging problem you faced in your old projects and how you resolved it. Now, the answer to this question is, in one project, we faced performance issues with a data processing pipeline. Or you can also give any other example that you might have actually faced. So in case if you're looking for something new, then you might take this sample answer. After conducting thorough analysis and profiling, we identified bottlenecks in the code and database queries. Through optimization techniques such as caching, query tuning, and parallelization, we were able to significantly improve performance and meet project requirements. Now proceeding ahead, we will go through a different set of questions. The 11th question is, describe your approach to designing scalable and maintainable software solutions. Now the answer for this question is, certainly, we designed software solutions. I prioritize modularity, encapsulation, and loose coupling to facilitate scalability and maintainability. I adhere to design principles such as solid and design patterns like MVC and factory to promote code reusability and flexibility. So if you're wondering what is factory, so these come under design patterns. So just explain them that you have already designed some good software using the popular design patterns and etc., which elevates your profile. Now, moving ahead, the 12th question. How can you ensure that your code is well designed, clean, and testable? Now, the answer for this question is I follow coding standards and guidelines, write self-documenting code. So, writing that self-documenting code is really important. Mention that. It explains that you are well versed with software development and also use meaningful variable names and comments to enhance code readability. I design code with testability in mind, using techniques such as dependency injection and mocking to isolate components for unit testing. This explains that you are good about unit testing and you also know the ways and protocols to follow during the testing phase of your code. Now, the 13th question. Discuss your experience with driving standard code architecture and technical discussions with teams. Now, the answer for this question is as follows. I have experience leading technical discussions and driving consensus on code architecture and design decisions. I advocate for best practices, conduct code reviews, and mentor junior developers to ensure adherence to coding standards and architectural guidelines. So this explains a lot about yourself, that you are a tried and tested guy who knows all and everything around the team and is a good quality candidate to develop quality code as well as developing a quality team. Now moving ahead to the 14th question. How do you approach collaboration with local and global teams for project success? Now the answer for this question is, I believe in open and transparent communication regardless of geographic location. I leverage collaboration tools like Slack, Zoom, and Jira to facilitate remote communication, coordinate tasks, and address challenges effectively. I actively engage with team members, encourage knowledge sharing, and foster a culture of teamwork and accountability. Now, the 15th question in the list. Describe a situation where you faced a blocker in a project and how did you resolve it? So these are the multiple attempts from the interviewer to understand if you are very good with problem solving, etc. or not, right? So a sample answer for this question can be as follows. Or you just don't take the sample answer. You can also, if you have a bucket list of such situations, you can pull out any one of the most popular one, or in case if you don't, then you can just follow this sample answer, which can help you to be on the safer side. So the answer goes like this. In a recent project, we faced a technical blocker related to a third-party API integration. I collaborated with the vendor, conducted troubleshooting, and proposed alternative solutions to circumvent the issue. Through proactive communication with stakeholders and agile problem solving, we successfully resolved the blocker and met project deadlines. Now moving ahead, we have the 16th question in the list. How do you prioritize tasks and manage your time to meet project deadlines? The answer to this question is, I use prioritization frameworks like Eisenhower matrix and Moscow methods to categorize tasks based on urgency and importance. I break down larger tasks into smaller, manageable chunks, set realistic deadlines, and track progress using project management tools like Trello and Asana. Now, the 17th question on the list is, how did you handle challenges in project requirements or technology stack? The answer for this question is, in a previous project, we had to pivot to a different technology stack midway through development due to changing business requirements. I quickly familiarized myself with the new technologies, conducted research, and collaborated with team members to ensure a smooth transition. Despite the new challenges, we successfully delivered the project within the revised timeline and scope. Now the 18th question in the list. How do you ensure code quality and consistency with your team? The answer is, I advocate for code reviews, automated testings, and continuous integration practices to maintain code quality and consistency. I use static code analysis like SonarQube or CheckStyle to identify code smells and enforce coding standards. I also encourage peer learning and knowledge sharing to promote best practices across the team. Now the 19th question. Discuss your experience with mentoring junior developers and fostering their growth. The answer for this question is, I enjoy mentoring junior developers and helping them to grow in their careers. I provide guidance on best practices, offer constructive feedbacks on their code, and encourage them to take ownership of their projects. I believe in leading by example and creating. Now the 20th question in the list. How do you ensure efficient data processing, and optimized query performance. Now, this is some question asked to an experienced candidate if they are good with query optimization, code optimization, and efficient data processing methodologies. Now, the answer for this question can be as follows. One approach is to leverage techniques such as data partitioning and indexing to distribute data across clusters and improve query execution times. Additionally, I utilize caching mechanisms to store frequently accessed data in memory, reducing the need for repetitive disk input-output operations. By fine-tuning query execution plans and optimizing data storage formats, I strive to minimize latency and maximize throughput in big data processing pipelines. Now moving ahead, the 21st question. What is the purpose of a pull request in GitHub? Now we are delving into the tools and other IDE-based questions. So the first one amongst those is GitHub. So what is the purpose of a pull request in GitHub? So the answer for this question is, a pull request in GitHub allows developers to propose changes to a repository code base. It provides a platform for code review, feedback, and collaboration amongst team members before merging the changes into the main branch. Now the 22nd question in the list. How do you handle merge conflicts in a GitHub repository? The answer for this question is, when faced a merge conflict, I first analyze the conflicting changes to understand the differences. Then I collaborate with the involved developers to resolve conflicts by either manually editing the conflict sections or using Git's merge tools. Once conflicts are resolved, I perform thorough testing to ensure that the integrity of the merged code base is good. Now moving ahead, we have the 23rd question in the list. Can you name some popular IDEs used for Java development? So the answer for this question is as follows. You can tell the IDEs that you have already used, or you can take the names of some of the popular IDEs in the market. So some popular IDEs in the Java development include IntelliJ IDEA, Eclipse, and NetBeans. These IDEs provide comprehensive features such as coding, editing, debugging, refactoring, and version control integration to enhance developers' productivity. Now moving ahead, we have 24th question. How do you debug Java applications in your IDE? The answer is, in my IDE, I set breakpoints at specific lines of code where I suspect issues may occur. Then I run the application in debug mode, allowing me to step through the code, inspect variables, and identify the root cause of the problem. I also leverage features like watch expressions and stack traces to troubleshoot complex issues effectively. Now, 25th question in the list. Explain the differences between RESTful and SOAP APIs. Now, the answer for this question is, RESTful APIs are based on principles of representational states transfer, that is REST, and use standard HTTP methods like GET, POST, PUT, and DELETE for communication. They typically utilize lightweight data formats such as JSON or XML and are stateless, making them scalable and easy to cache. On the other hand, SOAP, that is Simple Object Access Protocol, APIs rely on XML-based messaging protocols and are more rigid in structure, often requiring extensive tooling for implementation and interoperability. So this type of answers will elevate you on a candidate's front, right? They will get an idea that you are really having a good expertise on these APIs and you have experience working them. Now proceeding ahead, we have 26th question, which is, how do you consume an external API in a Java application? So the answer for this question is, to consume an external API in Java, I typically use libraries like Retrofit or HTTP Client to make HTTP requests to the API endpoints. I deserialize the API's response to Java objects, use JSON parsing libraries such as Jackson or JSON, allowing me to manipulate and process the data within my application. Now moving ahead, we have the 27th question. What are the benefits of using version control systems like Git? So these are the questions for beginners. If you are attending an interview for a Java developer's role as a fresher, then these type of questions are for you, right? You can answer the questions as follows. Version control systems like Git provide several benefits, including tracking changes to the code base over time, facilitating collaboration and accountability among the team members, enabling rollback to previous versions in case of bugs or regressions, facilitating concurrent developing by allowing multiple developers to work on different branches simultaneously, streaming code review and integration processes through features like pull requests and branching models. So, moving ahead, we have the 28th question. Do you revert a commit in Git? So the answer for this question is, to revert a commit in Git, I use git revert command followed by the commit hash of the commit I want to undo. This creates a new commit that undoes the changes introduced by a specified commit, effectively reverting the code base to its previous state while preserving the commit history. Alternatively, I use the git reset command to reset the head pointer to a previous commit, but this rewrites commit history and should be used with caution, especially in shared repositories. Now, this type will help the interviewer understand that you do know multiple ways to revert a commit in Git. Now, proceeding ahead, we have the 29th question. Differentiate between heap and stack memory in Java and how Java utilizes this. Now, the answer for this question is, stack memory is the portion of memory that assigns to every individual program and it was fixed. On the other hand, heap memory is the portion that is not allocated to the Java program, but it will be available for use by the Java program when it is required, mostly during the runtime of the program. Now, moving ahead, we have the 30th question. What is Glassfish and how is it used in Java development? Now, the answer for this question is, Glassfish is an open source application server for the Java EE platform or enterprise platform. It provides a runtime environment for developing, managing, and running Java Enterprise Edition applications. Glassfish supports features such as servlets, JSP, EJP, JPA, and web services, making it suitable for building and deploying enterprise-grade Java applications. Now, the 31st question. Can you explain the difference between Glassfish and Apache Tomcat? So the answer for this question is as follows. While both Glassfish and Tomcat are used for deploying Java web applications, they differ in their scope and features. Glassfish is a fully fledged Java EE or Enterprise Edition application server that supports a wide range of enterprise features such as EJP, JPA, and web services. But on the other hand, Apache Tomcat is a lightweight servlet container focused primarily on serving servlets and JSPs. Glassfish provides more comprehensive platform for enterprise applications, while Tomcat offers simplicity and ease of use for smaller projects. Now, the 32nd question in the list. What is black box testing and how do you perform it? Now, the answer for this question is, black box testing is a software testing technique that focuses on testing the functionality of the system without knowledge of internal implementation. Testers evaluate the system's inputs and outputs based on predefined specifications and requirements. Black box testing includes techniques such as equivalence partitioning, boundary value analysis, and decision table testing, and much more. Testers design test cases to cover different scenarios and validate the system's behavior against expected outcomes. Now, 33rd question in the list. Explain white box testing and its advantages. Now, the answer for this question is as follows. White box testing, also known as structural or code-based testing, involves examining the internal logic and structure of a software application. Testers have access to the source code and design tests to specify and verify the correctness of individual components, paths, and conditions within the code. White box testing techniques include statement coverage, branch coverage, and path coverage. The main advantage of white box testing is its ability to uncover logic errors, code defects, and unreachable code paths that may not be identified through black box testing alone. Now, the 34th question in the list. What is Selenium and how is it used for automated testing? Now, the answer for this question is, Selenium is an open source automation testing tool used for automating web applications across different browsers and platforms. It provides a suite of tools for automating web browser interactions, including Selenium WebDriver for browser automation, Selenium IDE for record and playback testing, and Selenium Grid for parallel test execution. Selenium WebDriver allows testers to write automated tests in programming languages like Java, Python, and C#, enabling robust and scalable test automation solutions. Now we have the 35th question in the list. How do you handle dynamic elements and synchronization issues in Selenium? So the answer for this question is as follows. When dealing with dynamic elements and synchronization issues in Selenium, I use explicit and implicit waits to ensure that the WebDriver waits for the element to become available before performing actions on it. Explicit wait allows me to specify a condition and maximum wait time for the WebDriver to wait for an element to be present, visible, or clickable. Implicit waits, on the other hand, instruct the WebDriver to wait for a certain amount of time before throwing an exception if the element is not found immediately. Additionally, I use techniques such as polling and custom wait conditions to handle complex synchronization scenarios effectively. Moving ahead, we have the 36th question in the list. What is Apache JMeter and how is it used in performance testing? The answer for this question is Apache JMeter is an open source performance testing tool used for analyzing and measuring the performance of web applications, APIs, and servers. It simulates heavy loads on a server, network, or object to assess the performance under various conditions. JMeter supports features such as load testing, stress testing, and distributed testing, allowing testers to identify performance bottlenecks, analyze response times, and optimize system performance. Now moving ahead, we have 37th question. How do you design and execute performance tests using JMeter? The answer for this question is, to design and execute performance tests in JMeter, I first identify the test objectives, scenarios, and workload profiles based on application requirements and usage patterns. Then I create test plans in JMeter by configuring elements such as thread groups, samplers, controllers, and listeners. I parameterize test data, define assertions to validate response times and error rates, and configure test execution settings such as ramp-up periods and loop counts. Finally, I execute the tests, monitor system metrics, and analyze test results to identify performance issues and areas for improvement. Now, 38th question in the list. Explain the difference between git pull and git push commands in GitHub. The answer for this question is, git pull is used to fetch and integrate changes from a remote repository to the current local branch. It updates the local branch with changes from remote repository and merges them if necessary. On the other hand, git push is used to upload local repository changes to a remote repository. It sends commits from the local branch to the corresponding branch on the remote repository, updating the remote repository's history with the latest changes. Now, 39th question in the list. How do you resolve merge conflicts during git pull operation? Now, the answer for this question is, when encountering merge conflicts during a pull operation, I identify the conflicts changes by reviewing affected files and merge makers on the code. Then I manually resolve the conflicts by editing the conflict sections to integrate the changes from both the branches or choosing one version over the other. Once the conflicts are resolved, I stage the modified files, commit the changes, and complete pull operation to synchronize the local and remote repositories. Now, the 40th question in the list. Can you explain the singleton design patterns in Java? So you can always expect design pattern questions in your Java interview. There are multiple design patterns, just go through them. So this particular one is based on singleton design patterns in Java. So the answer for this question is as follows. So the answer for this question is, the singleton design pattern ensures that a class has only one instance and provides a global point of access to that instance. To implement singleton in Java, you typically create a private constructor, a static method to return the single instance, and a private static variable to hold the instance. Lazy initialization or eager initialization can be used depending on the use case. Now moving ahead, we have the 41st question. What is the observer design pattern and how is it implemented in Java? The answer for this question is, the observer design pattern defines a one-to-many dependency between objects where multiple observers, that are listeners, are notified of changes to a subject that is observable. In Java, the observer pattern can be implemented using the java.util.observer interface and java.util observable class, or by using custom interfaces and classes to define observers and subjects. Now the 42nd question in the list. What will be the output of the following code snippet? Remember, certain questions based on code snippets will be always answered. This will be your question and the answer is, the output will be true. In Java, string literals are stored in string pool, and if those string literals have the same value, they reference the same memory location. Hence, string 1 is equal to string 2 evaluates true. Now moving ahead, we have the 43rd question. Can you explain the concept of autoboxing and unboxing in Java? So the answer for this question is, autoboxing is the automatic conversion of primitive data types to their corresponding wrapper classes. Example, int into integer by the Java compiler. Unboxing is the reverse process, where wrapper objects are automatically converted to their primitive data types. Autoboxing and unboxing allow seamless integration of primitive types and wrapper classes in Java. Now the 44th question. What are the four main principles of object-oriented programming or OOPS concepts? Now this is the most frequently asked question to the intermediate and beginner level candidates. The answer for this question is, the four main principles of object-oriented programming are encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. The definitions are encapsulation, bundling data and methods that operate on the data into a single unit. Inheritance is allowing a class to inherit properties and behaviors from other classes. Polymorphism is the ability of objects to take multiple forms based on their context or behavior. And abstraction is hiding complex implementation details and exposing only essential features to the outside world. Now the 45th question on the list. Explain the difference between method overloading and method overriding in Java. The answer for this question is, method overloading involves defining multiple methods in the same class with same name but different parameters. The methods may have different return types or access modifiers, but their names must be the same. Method overriding, on the other hand, occurs in a subclass when it provides a specific implementation of a method that is already defined in its superclass. The method signature, name, parameters, and return type must be exactly the same in both superclass and subclasses. Now, the 46th question in the list. Write a Java program to print the Fibonacci series up to the given number. Now, just go through any of the codes online, or if you are able to write it, you can write it down. In case if you are looking for an answer, then here we have it on the screen. Apart from Fibonacci series, also go through some most frequently asked Java programming based interview questions, and that should really help you in the interview situation. Now the 47th question in the list. Write a Java program to check if a number is prime or not. So this is also one of the most frequently asked questions in Java interviews. So the question will be about to find the number is prime or not. Sometimes they will ask you find if the given number is prime or not based on the user input. So that's also one type of question. You can go through the sample answer here. And the 48th question is, explain the difference between hash set and tree set in Java. So the answer for this question is hash set versus tree set. Hash set is faster and no guaranteed order, and tree set is sorted order and high memory overhead. Use hash set for speed when order doesn't matter, and use tree set for sorted collections. Now 49th question in the list is, discuss the advantages and disadvantages of using threads in Java. So most oftenly you will be facing multi-threading concept-based questions, multi-threading concept-based questions in an interview for a beginner level. So the answer for this question is advantages: increased responsiveness, better resource utilization, improved throughput, and the disadvantages are race conditions, deadlock, and thread safety issues. So the pitfalls of using threads in Java are improper synchronization, deadlock, inefficient thread management. So in case if the interviewer also takes this to a new level and asks you for best practices, then you can say use thread safe data structures, minimize shared mutable state, avoid blocking operations. Now the last question in the list is explain the concept of generics in Java. So this is our 50th question. The answer for this question is enable type-safe programming and code reuse, provide compile time type checking, reduce explicit typecasting and promote cleaner code, enhance robustness and readability and maintainability of your code. And that brings us to the end of this session. If you have any queries regarding any of the topics covered in this session, or if you require the resources that we used in this session, like the code blogs or the PPT of the entire list of top 50 Java interview questions, then please feel free to let us know in the comment section below, and our team of experts will be happy to resolve all your queries at the earliest. Until next time, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more from MindMajix.